Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for joining us for another installment of the NTC podcast, live from UNLV NBA 2K25 Summer League. We're really excited to be back for the second installment of our podcast here in Vegas, and we're really looking forward to a great discussion here this afternoon. So this time around, joining me as my special guest on this installment of the pod is Angel Reyes, a college basketball player. So Angel, good to finally link up with you, man. Heard about you through Combo and having him on the pod the other day. So I think it's great that you've taken the opportunity to join me on the set, man. It's great to meet you, and hope you enjoyed your stay in Vegas so far.
No doubt. Thank you for having me, Aaron. For real, I mean, I've been wanting to do this. Shout out to my man Combo. New York City basketball player legend, you know what I'm saying? Combo is somebody
Yes,
I look
sir.
up to, so
Yes, sir.
definitely.
Awesome, man. I love to hear that. Basically, Angel, today what we're going to talk about here on the podcast is USA basketball and that whole situation. It wasn't that long ago, actually, that they were playing here in Vegas. They had an exhibition here recently. They played against Canada and beat them by double digits. So that game ended in a score of 87-72.
Wow.
So that game was a pretty good barometer of where USA basketball stands right now in terms of how they might fare against some pretty good competition in Canada. And it's going to be a really interesting Olympic period here coming up, man. So Summer League is right behind us, and we talked about that in the last pod here with Combo. But today we're going to get into a little bit of the international flavor here and how USA basketball is faring, man. So should be a good conversation here. Let's get right into it and talk about, first off, the Kawhi Leonard situation for USA basketball. So Kawhi Leonard originally was one of the 12 names selected to the USA men's basketball team. He participated in camp. He was there for the entire way. But just before exhibition play started, he ended up withdrawing from the team.
No doubt.
And in the initial stage of that, it seemed as though he withdrew because he didn't feel like he was ready for competition. He wasn't ready physically, trying to get ready for another season of basketball with the Los Angeles Clippers. In the days after that, we got a different perspective on that. It was actually, it sounded more like USA basketball made the decision to have him sit out. And the Clippers came out and issued a statement saying that they were disappointed in the decision for him to not play. So I wanted to get your thoughts on that. We've got a couple of different perspectives here, and we don't know the full story, but were you excited to see Kawhi play in this competition? And how do you feel about the whole situation that he's going through right now and not playing and instead focusing on just getting ready for another season with the Clippers?
I mean, I felt Kawhi would have been a great piece for USA basketball, but he's been dealing with injuries this whole time. You know what I mean? People look at the media and just say that for professional reasons, but he's dealing with injuries that is affecting his progression on the court. So that's why I feel like they took him out and just recover and be ready for the season that's coming up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a smart decision. When you have a player like that he's going to lead you into the next era of Clippers basketball. Now that Paul George has moved on to the Sixers and the roster's turned over a little bit, there's a lot of pressure here in Kawhi to deliver here. Man. So I understand the thinking behind not having him participate. It is a little bit disappointing, and, it was crazy to see that wing lineup of him and LeBron and Tatum and KD. Like, that was that would have been a crazy
team up, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, who's the starters, you know what I mean? Like, everybody's a superstar on that team. So, but it's been, for them to be able to come together and just really play together, you know what I mean? Put the egos to the side and went to make the extra pass, went to attack, and went to, you know what I mean? So, would have been special to see, but
for sure, man. But things happen, and we actually got another change in the USA basketball lineup. So since that happened, they brought in a replacement. Derek White is taking his spot now on Team USA, and there were some rumblings about why exactly Jaylen Brown wasn't selected for that spot. You have Derek White, you have Drew Holiday, you have Tatum, 3 champions from the Boston Celtics team of the 23-24 season. And it was interesting to see Derek White put in that spot. For me, my thinking is they wanted somebody that's a little bit more complementary to the stars. You just mentioned it. There's a lot of superstars on this team, and they're all very unselfish, and they all play together well. I think they thought it was in the best interest of the team to have somebody else that's used to playing next to stars like that. I mean, Derek White plays with Tatum. He plays with Brown. So he's used to that kind of environment. Were you in agreement of selecting Derek White to fill that spot instead of some other names that could have been selected?
I think it's a great piece because Derek White not only brings the offensive side of him, but he has a great defensive to him. You know what I mean? So defense is very important. Like, yes, you can score the basket, but can you play defense and you know what I mean? Guard full court, guard the best player on the opponent team, and be able to lock up to get a victory. You know, so Derek White being on the defensive side could definitely be a great piece for USA basketball. So I definitely look for him to being a great defensive piece for USA basketball.
Absolutely. And we've seen he hasn't played a game with them yet.
Right.
He just arrived in Abu Dhabi. I think it was the day that they were supposed to play the exhibition, or the day before the exhibition, over there against Australia. So he comes in a little bit late. He doesn't have as much time to kind of get into a rhythm and get warmed up with them. But I think that's another reason why they selected him for this spot. Because you think about it, this team already doesn't have a lot of time together. So if you bring in Derek White here, he's played a USA basketball before, very recently. And he's the guy that you could just plug and play. You don't have to organize the offense around him.
And
he can just kind of find a role.
No doubt.
You know,
no doubt.
So I think that's another reason why they did that. He's just a nice, seamless fit that's easy to integrate to that team.
Indeed. He's a mature player. You know what I mean? So him being able to be around Jason Tatum and Drew Holiday, you have Jason Tatum and Derek White. For them to come together, it's going to be a flow. So they'll definitely flow perfectly. Yeah,
I love having 3 guys that play on the same NBA team on Team USA. That just adds another dimension of cohesiveness and chemistry to that team. So I think it's going to be phenomenal. Most likely a bench role because, LeBron and those other guys, they got the spots locked up.
For sure.
But White coming in off the bench, that's just so much depth, man. Like we need to talk about how much depth is on this USA basketball team. There's so many guys that can play. And they're adaptable. They can play in different situations. So I just love the diversity that this team brings to the table.
It's a balance because to my thoughts, because when I watch the USA basketball, I watch the breakdown in slow motion. When LeBron is on the court with, let's say, all the rest of the 4 players, it's like a slow pace. But whenever they push in transition, they're pushing. With Anthony Edwards on it, they're running full court right away. So it's just a fast switch movement, and then it just kept going.
For sure.
Yeah.
They play with a lot of pace on this team, man. That's like one of the great selling points of Team USA is that they move the ball, like you said. They have a really team-first mentality. Even though a lot of these guys on their respective teams, they are number 1 options.
No doubt.
But they get to Team USA, and they understand that's for something bigger than themselves. So they're willing to pass the ball, work with each other, and help each other feel comfortable. So I think that familiarity that they have with each other and that unselfishness is really going to help them make an impact.
No doubt. And to me, like I said earlier, I feel like it's the ego side now. Being able to know when to make the right pass, the extra pass to any player, you know what I mean? Even whatever they got going on in the NBA, whether it's, beef, whatever, you know what I mean? They put that to the side and be able to say, okay, we're here for one goal, we're here to win the gold championship. So
for sure.
No doubt.
So let's get into a little bit about how Team USA has fared so far. It hasn't been many games that they played so far in the exhibition. They played 2 games so far. So last week we saw them square off against Canada, the Las Vegas game. They won that one by double digits.
Yes, indeed.
Game 2 was yesterday. They played in Abu Dhabi against Australia. They only won that game 98-92, 6-point game. They had a double-digit lead most of that game. In the fourth quarter, Australia went on a crazy run to make it a close game. And Australia could have taken that one. It was mainly the impact of Josh Giddey coming in and just being super aggressive that helped them kind of stick around in that game. But really what I ask you about now, Angel, is really how USA kind of moves forward from this point. I want to see if you're concerned at all about how they fared in those 2 games. They had 18 turnovers in that game against Australia.
Yes, indeed.
And they had problems just working as a unit offensively down the stretch of that game. They got a little bit out of sorts, and they really got punked a little bit by Australia in their physicality, man. So I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how concerned are you about some of the issues that USA has dealt with so far with just, having an offensive rhythm and, taking care of the basketball? They've given the basketball away a lot over the past 2 games.
Yes, indeed. So I'll start off by saying this. Basketball is a game of runs. You know what I mean? So it's the team that has the less turnovers and more free throws. You know what I mean? Attack the rim, be able to get them other team in foul trouble. So that's a really big, important key factor. But for me, I would give them a 5 on being worried. If they come together, if they put the egos aside, which is my biggest thing, because as basketball players, people have egos, but if you put it to the side to know the bigger goal, then they'll be successful.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
I would go with maybe a 3 or a 4 on the panic meter. I think there is a little bit of concern there. I wouldn't say it's nothing. But I believe in this team's ability to figure it out.
For sure.
Because they're such smart basketball players. When you bring in guys like LeBron James.
The IQ is inevitable.
Exactly, man. Tyrese Halliburton. KD. These are really smart guys.
Yes, indeed.
And they know each other, and they know USA basketball. And they understand what the goal is and how to accomplish that. So, yes, they have things they need to work on, but at the same time, I think they have the understanding to be able to kind of figure that out as they go. I think they're going to start to figure it out through the Olympic exhibition games, through more practices together, once Derek White is integrated, I think they're going to figure that out. So I have faith in them.
They'll catch a rhythm for sure. You know what I mean? So it's all about being patient and be coming together. You know what I mean? So I definitely see them succeeding.
Absolutely,
you know what I mean?
man.
That's an unstoppable team.
Yes, sir.
Especially with Anthony Edwards on that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Anthony Edwards right here real quick because in that first game against Canada, he didn't start. He came off the bench.
Right.
He was incredible off the bench. He had a great performance, double-digit performance.
Right.
In the second game, he did start. So he came in, he took Devin Booker's spot, and he was with Curry, with Tatum, LeBron, and Embiid in the starting lineup. So impressions about him being in the starting lineup. Do you like him better as a starter with Team USA?
Him being a starter gets the rhythm going, in my opinion. Because when let's say when there was the other team with Devin Booker, it's like a slow pace, get the offense going. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Attack, read the game.
Yep.
But with Anthony Edwards, it's like fast paced. He's ready to
we're
go
moving,
by.
We're moving.
They're pushing the ball, they're transition, whatever. Get back on defense and keep pushing off to the races. So honestly, man, with Anthony Edwards starting, I feel like it's a great new thing that they integrated him starting.
Yes.
And I definitely see that moving forward.
That's a great role for him and Team USA. Just continuing to have that pace.
Right.
And then also, I like what he brings to the table defensively.
Yes, indeed.
So being able to come in the game and be a great point of attack defender right at the level of the screen.
With great size.
Yes, great size, 6'5", about 220.
Right.
He can match up with some bigger players.
For sure.
And he is actually underrated as a shot blocker. He has some LeBron chase down blocks every once in a while.
He does. Yes, indeed.
Come from behind and just kind of smack something off the backboard. It's pretty cool to see.
It is.
Yeah. And he's just so explosive.
Right.
Like he just comes to the game and he asserts his will. Did you see that quote that he had the other day where he said USA would have to adjust to his game? Like he's played with like LeBron and KD and he's like, hey, those guys got to figure out how to play around me, fit to my game.
Yes.
So like that tells you like how much confidence he has in his own game and what he brings to the table, man. I thought that was pretty cool to see.
Listen, man, Anthony Edwards' confidence is always through the roof, and that's how it should be. You know what I mean? It's the basketball player. You always got to have confidence no matter what. Like,
got to, man.
You got to act like you're the man on the court, even though, you know what I'm saying, it's a team sport.
Right.
But you got to act like you got to believe in yourself because not the point of being in the court. You know what I mean?
That's
so
right.
That's what I like about Anthony Edwards, and that's why most of the youth relates with him because of his confidence. You always got to have confidence and believe in yourself.
And I think he toes the line well between confidence and arrogance.
Right.
Because he doesn't say anything that he can't back up.
Right.
I think it's arrogance to where you're saying stuff and you can't back it up on the court.
Yes, indeed. No doubt. I mean, put it to you like this. I come from New York. We always got to have a chip on our shoulder no matter what. You know what I mean? So people will try to disregard that. We are confident. You know, if you don't walk with your chest high, with your head high, it's just like, oh, he's soft, he's sweet. You know what I mean? So like, we have to have that chip on our shoulder and walk like we're the man because we have to act like we're confident. And we are confident because we believe in ourselves and we put the work in and we back it up.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, he's got that part in his game in spades. Yeah. And I think that's going to continue for his role with Team USA.
Sure.
He comes in here and he's like, hey, you guys, I understand that, hey, LeBron has made 20 straight All-Star games. I understand KD has been one of the best scorers in the NBA for 15 years. But I'm Ant-Man. And I'm going to put my imprint on this team. I'm the future.
Yes,
yeah,
that's it.
He's already a superstar.
No doubt.
So, no, he's been phenomenal, man.
He's learning a lot. I feel like, in my opinion, seeing it from outside in, I feel like he's definitely like learning a lot. So, just seeing from the vets and the OGs that came before him, and you know what I mean. So, definitely, he's the future.
And those guys always seem to have an extra. They hit an extra gear that next season. So they come in here and they play USA basketball, and that next season in the NBA, they're so much better because they have learned so much from those veterans and that experience. Like, you're playing not the best players, not just in the NBA, but in other countries.
No doubt.
And those guys in other countries, they don't play the same as they do in the NBA. So a guy like Evan Fournier, for example, for France, he, when he was playing last season, he was with Detroit or New York, and he's like, he's a role player. He plays maybe like 15, 20 minutes a game. It's not the same when they're playing for their native country. They turn up to another level.
You know what they say, FIBA Thanasis, FIBA Giannis. Yes. It's different from an NBA player to playing in your country, and you're playing in other countries. People turn up a notch, 10%.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So it's totally different when they're playing in that environment versus the NBA. So you're really getting everybody's best shot.
Yeah, no doubt.
Even those quote-unquote role players.
Quote-unquote. They're not, you know what I'm saying? When they play for their country, they're like the stars of the team. So you know how that goes, They're
the star. So another starting spot that hasn't been changed yet but might be changed in their next exhibition game, so that's going to be tomorrow, Wednesday, against Serbia, is the center spot.
Okay.
So in both of those two exhibition games so far, they started with Embiid, and then they went to AD and Bam and the reserve lineup. Going forward, it's been reported, it's possible, it's not confirmed, that Embiid will be coming off the bench in those games, and you start AD or Bam. So I think it's a great move.
Who do you think, in your opinion, would match up better with Jokic?
You know, that's a great question. We've seen both of them match up against him in recently.
Right.
I mean, Bam played against Jokic in the finals last year, 23 finals.
Right.
And AD matched up against Jokic in the first round of the playoffs
yes, indeed,
just past spring. And both of them, they have their moments. It's Jokic. Like, he's gonna get his. He's gonna get his
regardless. No matter how you try to stop him, whether it's a pass, whether it's trying to get a bucket or get somebody open, he's gonna find his way.
Right.
Now it's how can you contain the others, because you know Jokic's gonna go, but if you can contain Jokic, then the win is yours.
For sure, man. Honestly, in my opinion, I don't think there's a wrong move there if you go with AD or Bam.
Yes.
What they also could do, maybe just for that game, because they're playing such a dominant post presence, they could go with the double big lineup. And what they've done in the past 2 games is, like, off the bench, they bring in Bam and AD together.
Oh, wow.
So they play them together, and now you have 2 bigs that can protect the rim, and they can switch out onto guards and wings.
Protect the paint.
Yep, so they can do pretty much everything.
Right.
So I would like to see them go with they might decide to stay with the traditional 1 big lineup, just have 1 center. But that's another option they do have, is to go with the double big lineup. For sure.
I feel like they will go double big lineup. Why? Because you double the paint. You know what I mean? But then you have to show out to the other person that's open in the corner. And you have to show and then playing help defense now.
For sure.
So who knows what happens?
You got options, I think, if you go that route.
Definitely, you have options. But now it's about who's smarter now, because it really comes down to the mental game. And Jokic, I feel like people don't really realize how smart he is.
Oh, he's so smart, man.
And, like, I wish we could study his brain.
Yeah.
Because how is he able to dissect the game? He plays at his own pace, and, you know, the game moves fast in the NBA. But, like, he's able to play at his own pace and be able to get the job done.
Absolutely.
It's amazing to me, you know, like.
Yeah. He's one of one. Like, there are certain players, I think, you know, there's great athletes. Like, we see LeBron James, guys like that.
Freak
Ant-Man.
athlete, yes,
yeah,
indeed.
we see the freak athletes that's like, okay, they're generational athletes.
Right.
Jokic is a generational basketball mind.
Right.
Chris Paul, LeBron James, Nikola Jokic.
Yes, indeed.
Those are some names that they think the game better than almost anybody else in history.
Right.
Magic Johnson, MJ, Kobe, like, they're so intelligent that, I mean, there's almost no way to stop them because they're going to outthink you and not just outmuscle you or, you know, be faster than you or whatever. So I think that's going to be a unique challenge that they're going to face against Serbia. So when you're dealing with a guy like that, and I believe they also have Bogdanovic on their team, Bogdanovic.
Yes.
So you have a nice 1-2 punch Serbia brings to the table. So, you know, in this next exhibition game coming up tomorrow, that's another great test for USA basketball. That's another team that I think could contend for a gold medal, just how much talent they have. So do you have any expectations for USA versus Serbia, and not just Serbia, but the rest of the world? Because we only have about a week or 2 left before they actually start the Olympics. So, like, you know, what do you expect to see from USA, and, you know, what are you hopeful that they're going to display on that stage going forward in these tune-ups before the Olympics?
I feel like it will be a European team in the championship game against USA. Who knows what team it might be, Germany, whoever, it might surprise. But I feel like they match up better against European teams because of the height. You know what I mean? So being able to see how you dissect the game from there, you know, matchups is everything in the NBA. So imagine in the Olympics in the European setting, international setting. So who knows? I definitely like to see USA really, like, break down the aspect of having a big man against a point guard, you know what I mean? A short guy, and then being able to switch and then see who helps out, recover, you know what I mean? So it scrambles now. So so huge game incoming for USA. I really hope to see a reduction in turnovers in that game. And you're playing against a guy like Jokic. I hope that they kind of keep him in check, make it work for everything, no doubt.
Keep him inefficient. That's the biggest thing you can do. You're not going to stop him, but just make it work for everything.
Try to slow him down. You know what I mean? That's the main factor for USA basketball right now. So
absolutely, man. That's the biggest factor of it all. So next, let's talk about some of the biggest threats to USA. You know, teams that have a legitimate chance at winning gold if it's not USA basketball. They just played against Canada. They have so many NBA guys, man. Like you talk about Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Lou Dort, Powell,
Dylan Brooks.
Yep, Dylan Brooks. Like so many guys on this team that are legitimate. Alexander Walker. Yep, so many players that are solid, and they're lacking size, but they have a lot of guard play. So you talk about Canada. We just talked about Serbia, what they bring to the table. Australia, a team that they just played yesterday. Josh Giddey, Josh Green, Joe Ingles, Patty Mills. Like, these are good NBA rotation guys, man. So, you know, who is your biggest, in your mind, like who is that team that has a real chance to beat Team USA in the Olympics just because of the talent or the chemistry they bring to the table? Like who is your biggest threat in your mind?
Well, we've seen it before. I feel like Germany might have that chance to beat USA.
Yeah, I forgot about Germany.
Yeah, Germany, I feel like they're the sleeper. They're always a sleeper. You would never expect Germany to win the World Cup, how they did.
Yeah, they sure did.
They
were
shocked
great.
the USA and they shocked the world. So I feel like Germany, in my opinion, can be the sleeper of this Olympics.
That's a great choice, man. Franz Wagner.
Yes, indeed.
Mo Wagner.
Yeah, for sure.
Schroeder.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Oh, my goodness. We just talked about players that seem like they hit another gear in international play.
Yes, indeed.
Dennis Schroeder, man.
I love Dennis Schroeder.
Turns up.
I'll be honest. I love Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah.
Like, the way he plays just at his own pace and his ability to go from slow to fast, fast to slow.
Yes.
To fast.
Yes.
Just unbelievable, bro. Like,
oh, my goodness. He's so shifty. Like
Yes,
you look at how he performs on the court, like, able to just break down defenders, have great touch. And, yeah, like you said, that change of pace is crazy, man.
Yes,
he goes from, like, literally 0 to 60 in a heartbeat.
No doubt.
So that's how he just absolutely destroys defenders.
For sure.
But, yeah, that's a great choice. Germany, as, like you said, the defending World Cup champions, they have a great chance to. And the other thing about these teams, aside from USA, they have chemistry. These guys play together every single time they go international. Unless someone's hurt, they're always together. It's the same team. USA switches out most of their team every time.
Which is not consistent, whether because of injuries, because of family, whatever it is. But that's why I say Germany, because their chemistry is like this. So they come together. They know how they are like the back of their hand. And that's why I feel like it's very important when having that camaraderie with your teammates and on the court and off the court.
Yes, it's huge, man. Like, that's a big part of basketball. You can be as talented as you want to be, but if you don't have that cohesion, you're not going to do well.
No doubt.
We saw that in 2004. 20 years ago, USA team that plays in the Olympics, and they get bronze. You know, I mean, that's a huge disappointment because they had such great names on that team. So the fact that they went in there and they got disappointed like that was really a tough blow. And from then, that's where we saw Team USA kind of like shift their priorities. So they didn't just focus on, getting all the best players. They focused on getting the Derek Whites and the Drew Holidays and the Tyrese Halliburtons. Those players, like, okay, yeah, they're not like in the top 20 of the NBA necessarily, but they're great teammates. They're great defenders. Like, Team USA put a really huge importance on defenders. And then size. You mentioned size before. They're not going to get bullied or punked anymore. They're going to have the big guys that throw out there, and it's like, hey, we could put LeBron at the 4. He's sturdy. We could put AD at the 5. We could put Bam at the 4 or the 5. Big difference in the way they construct their team these days.
They will still be able to match up with their opponents because they know Europeans are pretty tall. So they're definitely. That's why I'm excited to see this. You know what I mean? Like, this is probably the most exciting Olympic that I've watched that I'm going to be experiencing. So
it's going to be great, man. It's going to be huge for Team USA as a whole because they have this reputation of just being a gold medal team. When they go into the Olympics, it's like you almost just assume that they're going to have a performance like this. Like, hey, we're going to just roll over our opponents. They rolled over Canada. They had a tough time against Australia, but you would imagine, especially in the group that they're in, you have Puerto Rico in their group. You don't think they're going to be a huge problem for them?
I'm a little mad about Puerto Rico because they beat Mexico, so but
I feel that.
But Puerto Rico is a pretty good, well-structured team. Carlos Arroyo really put a great team. Him being the GM.
Carlos Arroyo, man, people sleep on him.
Oh man,
I remember I was following Carlos Arroyo when I first started watching basketball when I was 16.
Wow.
Miami Heat, the 2010, the Big Three Heat, and Carlos Arroyo was their point guard. So I'm like, I have a huge respect for him. I have a huge respect for his game. He's a great basketball player.
His story is incredible. You know what I mean? Coming from where he come from and to made it where he made it to now being the GM of the Puerto Rico and putting that well-structured team. Like, all my respects go out to Puerto Rico and Carlos Arroyo.
They couldn't have picked a better guy for the job.
Yes, indeed.
He just fits in perfectly. Like, he fits their culture. Like you said, he has a great story. So, like, he understands what it takes to kind of just grind and fight for your way in. And they feature guys like Jose Alvarado is another just great representative of Puerto Rico.
No doubt.
Alvarado had a huge performance against Italy in the qualifiers just to get to the Olympics. I think he had 7 3-pointers. I mean, this man went ballistic, man.
Yeah, for sure.
No, when I say, like, USA should roll over these teams, like, I mean no disrespect. I don't want to sit here and say that, like, these teams that are coming from other countries are pushovers. They don't have great talent. They 100% have great talent. it's just like USA is just there's such a high expectation for them and a high standard that you'd expect them to come out here and have a great performance against those other teams. But no disrespect to them, they're great. Puerto Rico, South Sudan is another one in their group. Serbia is in their group as well.
I like South Sudan as well. I like South Sudan because they can play basketball, and I guess they just got independence not too long ago. So, So I mean, honestly, to what they are now in the basketball position, definitely they have a great future. So.
Huge, man. The world is really stepping up these past few years.
Yes, indeed.
This isn't 2008. This isn't 92 where it's like, okay, the average margin of victory is 30 points a game.
Right.
Don't think we're going to see that this year.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I feel like we're going to see overtimes and who's really in great conditioning shape because that's what it comes down to.
For sure.
At the end, last minute. So.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So one more question I want to pose to you when it comes to USA basketball is the individual stories for these players. So some of these guys come in here with nothing to prove. LeBron, KD, these guys have nothing to prove. They've done pretty much everything.
I feel like they still do.
Yeah, I mean, they could always get another gold
medal. Their legacy,
medal.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just put USA on the top.
Right.
They represent the country.
For sure.
If you get invited to go play for your national team and you have the whole country behind you back and your team, you have to go out there and fight because it's your country you're representing. So I know that they have a chip on their shoulder.
For sure.
Like you said, they have nothing to prove because you see what they've done throughout their career. But still, I feel like they will definitely want to go fight for that gold medal.
It's just another accolade for the resume. And LeBron has stated in years past, like, hey, I'm still chasing ghosts of Jordan.
Right.
So for him to be able to put that on his resume along with everything else he's done would be huge for his legacy. But I'm not really. Those are interesting stories, but I feel like it's not as interesting as some other stories, like the other players that maybe it's their first time in FIBA competition.
Right.
So looking at some of those younger guys, I think it's going to be interesting.
Yes,
and
indeed.
Seeing as though they're coming through this program and they're still kind of new to this, like Halliburton and Ant-Man, they have a little bit of experience. They play in the World Cup team, but no Olympic competition yet.
We've been hearing this thing of European basketball being number one now. So I feel like this. If USA wins it, I feel like it still proves that USA basketball is still at the top.
Yes. I agree with that.
Yeah, so.
If they come out here and really put on a great performance, it's going to be like, hey, we understand that the world is catching up, but we're still on top.
Right.
And in the power rankings going into the Olympics, USA is still number one.
Right.
Regardless of how they've done the past World Cups, there have been some disappointing finishes. They are still expected to be the most dominant team for good reason. The roster is great. So when it comes to individual storylines and individual legacies, maybe some other players, are there one or two players on this team where you look at them and you say, they could really use the gold medal the most for their legacy? Like it would be the most impactful to that player.
Right.
Is there anybody to where you feel like that guy could really use this on the resume?
Everybody won one, but I would feel like LeBron just because like that edge of Michael Jordan, LeBron, or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so because
sure.
lately USA basketball hasn't, like you said, they've been disappointing. So if this will prove, it will shut everybody down.
Right.
When it comes down to the critics, people saying that USA basketball is down,
Yeah. I think the reports of their demise will be greatly exaggerated or have been greatly exaggerated.
Yes, they have.
We're not down for the count. We're still going to be out there competing.
Yes.
Let me throw another name at you that I think would be really cool to see them win an Olympic gold medal. Drew Holiday.
Oh, yes, indeed.
Look about what he's done this year already.
Yes, indeed.
He got a ring. He got a second ring. He was a big part of a championship team.
Right.
He had a great performance in the NBA Finals. Right. Imagine if he gets a ring to go along with this.
Even with Jason Tatum and Derek White. I feel like it would just be cool for the organization of Boston Celtics as well as individually.
Right.
That's an accolade. You just won a championship. Go into the summer, you get into the Olympics, and you win a gold medal? Come on, man.
You can't ask for anything more.
2 for 2 right there.
Yeah. It reminds me of LeBron back in 2012.
Yes.
Where he won the championship with the Heat. He got the MVP.
Right.
And he got the gold medal.
Yes, indeed.
That would be an incredible summer for those guys if they were able to do that. Ant-Man, if he got a gold medal, I mean, he's on his way.
Yeah, he's on
ascending to superstardom. So many great stories. Bam getting a second gold.
That would be nice for Bam.
Oh,
Bam is a great player. You know, I mean, he's a great person as well. So
such a great person.
No doubt.
Yeah, I've talked with people. I was actually talking with a friend before we got on this podcast about Bam and just having some interactions with him in person, and they have like nothing but great things to say.
Yeah, no doubt.
You know, and I haven't met Bam in person, and I hope I get the opportunity to one day. But I've heard that he's just a hard worker, a grinder. got it out the mud. He doesn't take anything for granted. So that's what you love to see with guys that play for the countries.
Yes,
very
indeed.
unselfish.
That's right.
So I love to see that from him, man.
No doubt.
Any closing thoughts about Team USA or any of the players on this roster before we close the podcast?
Well, I wish them the best. You know, I feel like they will do good if they come together. My main thing is putting the Eagles aside, it seems like they're doing pretty well in it.
Oh, yeah.
And they come together for one goal and just staying focused. So I definitely see them USA basketball on top. Got
to stay focused, man. And I hope that going forward, Mexico can have some better luck in these competitions. I know it's tough to see them, get knocked out, man.
Right,
I'm hopeful that their time will come.
Mexico's growing, man. We under a great coaching staff, Coach Omar Quintero, who's doing a great job out there with the national team, man. We'll definitely see the best coming up now.
Yeah, man. It's just about cycles.
Right.
Sometimes not your turn, but right around the corner is going to be another opportunity.
Yeah, if you keep pushing towards it, man, it will soon work out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
So, Angel, I want to thank you again for joining this pod, man. It's been a great time, a great talk about USA basketball. I wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thank you.
Thanks for jumping on with us, man. I hope you enjoy the rest of Summer League because we have a ton more basketball to watch.
Yes,
and I think it's going to be all super exciting to see these prospects come out here and put on a show, man. So I appreciate you.
No doubt. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
No doubt.
So thanks, everybody, for joining us for another installment of the NTC podcast. We're just getting started here in Vegas. We have a few more podcasts coming up, so we hope that you will stick with us the rest of the way and check out our content because we have a lot to share with you guys, both on set and behind the scenes on our website. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in and joining me and Angel this afternoon. We'll catch you on the next installment of NTC. Take care.